Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game with an overwhelming amount of mechanics, filled to the brim with nuance. But in an age of endless resources and combos, it can be hard to find something that actually uses the mechanics in a unique way. However, today's deck does just that. Releasing in the upcoming set Burst Protocol, ELFNOTE is an archetype centered on the center monster zone, utilizing column switching and continuous spell and traps to accrue advantage on the opponent's turn. Today, we will be taking a look at what you as a player need to know to pick up and play ELFNOTE in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Without further ado, let's begin. For a strategy with such a unique style of gameplay, ELFNOTE is a fairly simple deck to understand. You have the three main deck girls in ELFNOTE Lucina, Tania, and Fortuna, as well as the ELFNOTE Power Patron. From there are two continuous spell cards, two continuous trap cards, one synchro monster in ELFNOTE Seraphim Strelitzia, and a synchro monster called Junora, the Power Patron of Tuning. We're going to go through each card now and break it down one by one and figure out what makes this deck tick. ELFNOTE Lucina is the first of the three ELFNOTE girls, and has a couple of shared effects between them. They can all special summon themselves for free from your hand to the center main monster zone. Then each of them has an ignition effect on the field during the main phase to either add an ELFNOTE monster from your deck to your hand in the case of Lucina, or a couple of other effects for Tania and Fortuna. Then, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can switch the location of this ELFNOTE card you control and the card in your center main monster zone, and then do some other effect. In the case of Lucina, it's returning a level 6 or lower monster your opponent controls to the hand. This is basically your primary starter, both in Wave 1 and Wave 2 support of ELFNOTEs. Being able to add the ELFNOTE Power Patron directly from your deck to your hand is very strong, and can allow you to do some things within the rights of Droll and Knockbird. ELFNOTE Tania is your other main starter, as during the main phase you can place an ELFNOTE Continue spell from your deck face up on your field. Its effect during your opponent's turn is that when you switch the zones, you can then rip a random card from your opponent's hand until the end phase of the turn. Very, very strong and very, very useful when you see the continuous spell we are going to be playing with it. ELFNOTE Fortuna is the one that places the continuous traps from your hand or deck face up on your field. It's unfortunately not a starter, however, we still want to play it because the traps are very good, and Fortuna has a very, very nice face up spell trap bounce, which can be used to stop an opponent's field spell or various other continuous trap or spells. Finally, for the main deck, we have ELFNOTE Power Patron, where it locks you into synchro monsters from the extract while it's face up on the field, and during the main phase you can target a monster in your center zone, increase its level by 3, and then you can synchro summon either an ELFNOTE synchro monster or Junora, the Power Patron of Tuning. Importantly, you don't have to do this, you just can boost the level and then go from there. Finally, if it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can add an ELFNOTE card from your deck to your hand. And that's what makes this card so good, is that any synchro summon with it, including into your ELFNOTE Seraphim Strelitzia, allows you to continue your plays as long as you leave the center main monster zone clear. We're moving on to the back row. ELFNOTE's Welcome Home is the first of our back row and says the monster in your center main monster zone cannot be destroyed by card effects, and once per turn you can send a monster from hand or field to the graveyard, does not have to be an ELFNOTE, special summon an ELFNOTE with a different original attribute from your deck in defense, and then you're locked into synchros. This card is what makes Tania so incredibly good, as this card allows Tania to turn into any other ELFNOTE monster. ELFNOTE A Plea for Help says your opponent cannot target the monster in your center main monster zone with card effects, and then it gains different effects based on the attribute in your center main monster zone. However, this card's really not that good, and so we're going to be passing over it for now, just to keep this video concise. ELFNOTE's Rhapsodia of Madness says while you have a monster in your center main monster zone, your opponents cannot attack except for that monster, and you can send a monster from your hand or field to the graveyard, target an ELFNOTE in your graveyard with a different original attribute, and special summon it. Then if you control a synchro monster, you can negate the effects of a face-up card your opponent controls, until the end of the turn. This card serves as both a reborn tool and allows you to have an extra interruption. It's really, really nice. It negates any card, including the fact that because it is a trap card, you can chain it to the activation of a normal spell or trap, and still negate it even though it's not going to be staying on the field for very long. ELFNOTE Aristia of Trust is not terribly good as well, similar to A Plea for Help. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster you control and move it to any zone on the board. And then when your opponent activates a spell trap card while you control 3 or more ELFNOTE monsters, you can negate the effect, and then if you control a synchro monster, you can destroy that card, and you're limited to one of these effects per chain, unfortunately. Onto the X deck, ELFNOTE Seraphim Strelitzia is a card that requires any tuner and any non-tuners, and its original attack becomes 3000 while in the center main monster zone. During the main phase, quick effect, you can special summon a level 6 or lower ELFNOTE monster from your hand or graveyard, and then reduce the levels of all level 4 or higher monsters on the field by 3 until the end of this turn, and then you're locked into synchro monsters. This card is crazy, and I mean that in the sense that it allows you to do a lot of wacky stuff. You can level modulate however you'd like, and we'll get to why the level modulation is important thematically in just a moment. However, the fact that you have a way to get ELFNOTEs out of your hand even if your center main monster zone is full, or out of your graveyard regardless, is great for allowing you to put up interaction, put up bodies, or damage. And it's an incredibly good card and a level 7 synchro, meaning you can make it with any of the girls plus the ELFNOTE Power Patron. Finally, Junora, the Power Patron of Tuning, requires a tuner and 2 non-tuners, and for its synchro summon, you can treat the monster in your center main monster zone as a tuner. Then, if it's synchro summoned, you can negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent controls, back row monsters, everything. And finally, quick effect, you can activate this effect. Monsters your opponent controls in the same column as ELFNOTE monsters you control can't be used as material for literally anything from the extra deck. It's a very, very controlling card. However, it's actually a little bit difficult to make, and you may be realizing why the level reduction on Strelitzia is here now, is because you need that level reduction to be able to make Junora the Power Patron of Tuning. Before we move on, there is a quick mention for Medius the Pure, which is an out-of-archetype card that when normal or special summoned, can special summon a Power Patron monster from your deck. It also has a graveyard effect to revive itself by shuffling a monster from your hand or face-up field into the deck, and banishing it when it leaves the field, but this allows you to summon the ELFNOTE Power Patron from your deck, and because it is a tuner and can be searching your ELFNOTE cards off of any synchro summon, not just the synchro summon of an ELFNOTE monster, you can then use Medius and the Patron to make any level 5 or level 8 monster if you're willing to use the Patron's effect, and start your ELFNOTE combos. We've done a lot of talking about the cards, but now it's time to talk about the deck of ELFNOTE. And behind me, you can see is a fairly exemplary deck for Pure. And this is a very straightforward list. You can see we've got our hand traps, our anti-hand traps, 3 of the cards that start our combos, 2 of the cards that we don't want to get hand trapped or banished out of the game, and 1 of the cards that we don't really need all that often, such as Fortuna. Beyond that, it's very straightforward. In the extra deck, you can see we have our 2 Storitzias and 1 Junora, which is normally the ratios. Some people don't even play Junora, however, I recommend it in certain situations. Beyond that, I want to draw your attention to the cards around it. Our Medes Keeper of Boundaries is a level 5 synchro that can be made off of Medius and the Power Patron to be able to bridge into a Fiendsmith line. Link Spider is here in case you get hit with a Nibiru the Primal Being and they place the token in the center monster zone. You can link off into Link Spider to avoid using up your normal summon on your ELFNOTE when you summon it to the center monster zone, and you can still play from there theoretically. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is able to be made using the ELFNOTE Power Patron plus the ELFNOTE Seraphim Strelitzia, and it is extremely easy to get to a situation where you can use Strelitzia to revive the Power Patron that you used to make the Strelitzia in the first place. We have a level 10 synchro in Fabled Swarm Levazable, which allows you to easily make it using the Power Patron boost level effect on an ELFNOTE girl. And from there, we have a couple of other options. Psychic and Punisher is actually makeable in this deck by boosting the level of a Storitsia. And we have a couple of options of an engine you can play to get to these combos. This engine, funny enough, is Elemental Hero Prisma. You have not seen this card since Gladiator Beast, I guarantee it. This card allows you to reveal a fusion in your extra deck, send a fusion material with that name specifically from your deck to the graveyard, and then this name changes. That doesn't really matter, because what you can do is you can reveal Archmage Diactorus, which is a card that mentions Medius the Pure. You can then use Medius the Pure's graveyard effect to shuffle back the Prisma on your field, revive Medius, and continue your comboing as ELFNOTE. It even lets you use the Fiendsmith line. It's surprisingly helpful and is a 1-card combo in of itself. You can even play a Hero Lives to sacrifice your life points while you control no monsters, and you don't even have to commit to a normal summon. It's very funny, although the only downside is that the extra deck space for this deck can get rather tight. So playing an effectively extra deck brick in Archmage Diactorus is something to be wary of. It's important to note as well that ELFNOTE is not just a pure strategy. There are no significant locks other than a couple of synchro locks, and it is extremely easy to play non-committally and search easily with the Power Patron. I want to give a huge shout out to Joey Castle and Hayden Gore in the ELFNOTE Discord server for the lists you see on screen of branded ELFNOTE, of Synchron ELFNOTE, and of Centurion ELFNOTE. And thank you so much to the entire Discord server for helping me formulate and compile this video together. Link is definitely going to be in the description. We've looked at the cards, we've looked at the deck, it's now time to look at the gameplay. And so here you are going to see a couple of combos just to get you involved in how this deck functions. And you'll see the initial lines and hopefully can build from there. Without further ado, let's hop in to our first combo. As you've already seen, we're going to begin with a Lucina 1-card combo, and from here you will recognize a few patterns in all of these combos. You can see we go Lucina for the Power Patron. The Power Patron will get us to our second name after we normal summon it, and we can use that name to beat Tanina to get into the next person. And from there, we can go Strelizia Revive and Synchro Summon into something like a Clearwing Synchro Dragon to have extra interaction on the board. Tania's 1-card combo really focuses on the centerpiece of these combos as a whole, in the fact that you're always going from one girl to the next to the next. And that way you can keep this rotation clean and keep cycling through to your continuous spells and traps, while also getting Strelizia on the field. The important thing about this is that even if you happen to remove Strelizia from your field, the trap card can revive it on your opponent's turn. For the Medius combo, I want to highlight the importance of keeping the center monster zone clear. This is because you really don't want to fill up the monster zone by mistake and block out your ELFNOTEs from being able to summon from hand. Additionally, it might mess with the math of your Power Patron boosts to have something in the center monster zone that you don't want it. You can see here that Medius is a great way of bridging because we have so many options before we've even commit to an ELFNOTE play, just by making a level 5 Synchro monster. I've gone with a Fiendsmith engine, but you really don't have to. There's things like Yangzing Denglong and a myriad of others that can show up just by using the Power Patron boost effect that you don't really use otherwise. I hope you all enjoyed this ELFNOTE primer guide, whatever it may be called. It was a labor of love over the past couple of days, and I have enjoyed every second of it. So thank you all very much for watching. My name is V from the Lavender Lab. Please make sure to like and subscribe and do all the YouTube stuff, but more importantly, please, for the love of everything, join the ELFNOTE Discord server. The link is in the description. This video was made especially for all of them. So thank you so much to them for being an amazing community that I've been able to help run, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.